My name is Jean-Luc Picard, and your sister came to see me wanting my help, but I couldn't help her. Please, Soji, let me help you.
Picard Episode 6 finally pushed the story forward a bit after the cast had a chance to play around on FreeCloud last week.
Defiled is what you are, damned, cursed.
Why do you think I have this outrageous accent, you silly king?
And there were also lots of Easter eggs and references to past Trek that some of you might have missed, so let us begin. The episode's title is The Impossible Box, which has a few meanings. One is Narek's puzzle box, which is also a metaphor for Soji.
Endlessly fidgeting with her until she pops open like that stupid box.
It could also refer to the Borg cube itself, where the Reclamation Project is performing the impossible task of healing the XBs. And the title, of course, refers to Soji trying to figure out what's inside of her head. In Soji's dream, her father is hidden behind pots of pink and yellow orchids. Now, if you'll remember, Daj told Picard that her father was a xenobotanist who bred new forms of orchids.
Our house was full of orchids. He spliced two genuses, and he named the offspring after me, Orchidaceae, Daj, Oncidium, yellow and pink.
So he bred these orchids in pairs, just like Daj and Soji were created as a pair. Why orchids? Well, orchids are notoriously hard to cultivate. Just like creating these perfect scents was a delicate operation. Remember, Maddox created them perfect, but not too perfect.
They're perfect. Perfectly imperfect.
Notice how the orchids obscure her father from view, just like the lie of her father's profession concealing the daughter's true nature from themselves. You can also see that Soji inherited her father's desire to cultivate new life by the plants that she keeps in her quarters. And remember, Daj also kept orchids in her Boston apartment. The wooden figures on her bedside have a double meaning. Now they're used in painting and drawing. Notice the art tools here. She inherited this desire to paint from her father, Data, who paints in several TNG episodes.
I believe you could say I have been inspired.
Her artwork is interesting too, often featuring symmetrical figures or pairs of objects, reflecting that Soji and her sister were created together, which also is similar to Data and his brother Lore. Speaking of Data, Soji's implanted memories are another callback to TNG. Data's creator Noonien Soong implanted memories of the colonists on Omicron Theta into Data's mind. When Picard is talking to Jurati, he has a little bit of a PTSD flashback about being on the Borg ship.
They coolly assimilate entire civilizations, entire systems. In a matter of hours, they don't change.
6.5 hours later.
Showing what the Borg are underneath. The victims.
Which reminded me a lot of his classic speech from First Contact.
They invade our space, and we fall back. They assimilate entire worlds. Not again. The line must be drawn here.
When Picard cycles through his display, we see several familiar images. The Romulan Council is pulled from the episode Unification. There's Picard as a Borg from the classic Best of Both Worlds, Hugh from iBorg, more on him in a bit. Narek and Soji discuss the secret Romulan fourth names, which was an aspect of Romulan culture detailed in the novel series Rionisu. Rios' tattoo is a siren, and La Sirena is the name of his ship. Sirens were beings from Greek mythology who lured sailors to their island with songs, but the term a siren song has come to mean the lure of adventure, calling out to explorers. Now this says a lot about Rios, that he's being lured into space by a love of adventure. When Picard enters the Borg cube, he sees several regeneration stations like we've seen in multiple Trek movies and shows. 7 of 9 even slept in one after she was first separated from the collective. He sees several flashes that are actually taken from the Best of Both Worlds and the movie First Contact. Hugh explains the XBs to Picard, saying,
"A new name can be the first step to a new identity."
Now Hugh knows about this firsthand because he was able to begin severing his connection from the collective after Geordi gave him a name.
You. No, not you. Hugh.
While Hugh and Picard are in Soji's quarters, the intercom warns of detected chronometric radiation.
Due to detected chronometric activity.
Now this is the energy the Borg used to travel through time in Star Trek First Contact.
They must have done it in the past. They went back and assimilated Earth, changed history.
Do you remember the days since assimilation sign we saw a few episodes ago? I'm guessing that spontaneous time travel is another work side effect of working on an X-Borg cube. And this line,
Only now, our queen is a Romulan.
is that metaphorical? Or do Romulans really have a queen now? And the other queen that he's mentioning is of course the Borg queen who Data killed in First Contact and was later replaced in Voyager. Oh, and this moment when a reclaimed Borg recognizes Picard,
Locutus?
out of our way please, reminded me of this Kids in the Hall sketch.
Second, I know where I know you from. It's from the Chain Gang.
It's not an Easter egg, I just love me some Kith. And by the way, you might recognize this Borg because it's a special guest star. That's your mom. Back on the ship, Rios tells Rafaela,
"You owe me 2 strips of latinum."
Latinum is a valuable space mineral that many species, especially the Ferengi, use for currency. In Daj's dream, she sees herself as a wooden doll, foreshadowed by this figure at her bedside, and also by this figure that pops out of Narek's box. But the most obvious parallel is to Pinocchio, the puppet who dreamed of being a real boy. Pinocchio is often used in sci-fi to talk about artificial life, like in the movie AI.
Please make me a real boy.
Age of Ultron.
I had strings, but now I'm free.
And even in Star Trek The Next Generation.
And now a man will shut it off. Pinocchio is broken.
The radiation Narek uses on Soji is very similar to the Theralon radiation that Shinzon used against the Romulan Senate and Nemesis. When Picard and Hugh enter the Queen's chambers, he remembers it immediately, even though he's never been there before.
I remember, even though you've never been here before.
Yes.
Now this is similar to how he forgot about the Queen's existence before they met again in First Contact. Hugh teleports Picard with tech the Borg assimilated.
Spatial trajector. The Borg acquired the technology after assimilating Sicarians.
The Sicarians appeared in the Voyager episode Prime Factors. Janeway and her crew wanted to use their spatial technology to travel home. The Sicarians lived in the Delta Quadrant where the Borg originated, which explains how the species was assimilated. Well guys, that's all the Easter eggs I found. Let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.